Hello, so it's Laurie here from Laurie's Tummy Loving Foods, here to talk about intuitive health so you can reclaim your authority over your health and your life. And this is the time to do it. This is the time to reclaim our authority over our health. So, today I'm talking about something that might get your backs up, something that might actually test your triggers. But if that's the case, maybe it's a good thing for you to listen to. And brave, strong people can listen to things which go against their strong beliefs. And once they're through that, then they can decide, has that actually helped me? Has that maybe given me a more broad, rounder perspective of my current biases or beliefs or opinions? Or do I want to do away with that, which is fine too. So, hear me out here. Those people, all of us who have a certain way of eating, a certain dietary dogma, or a certain just way of eating that is maybe grouped or labelled potentially extreme or potentially just labelled and in a box, such as, paleo, carnivore, vegan, vegetarian. These labels, these boxes can be a rod for your own back. Be careful who you get your information from and who is telling you how wonderful their diet is and how wonderful how they is and how everybody should be eating that way. Because you do not know if these people, how rigidly they are sticking to their dietary label, in their little box, whatever it may be. You do not know what they are doing or what their dietary needs are, what their physiological needs are. So take everything with a little pinch of salt. And we do, when we're building ourselves into these boxes, you see people in these boxes of labels. Once we get into them and we tell everybody about them and how everybody should be doing this and everybody should be doing that, just because it's worked for us or we're so passionate about it. Once we do that, we have boxed ourselves in. And so even when it comes to a time that our health is suffering because we are eating a certain prescribed way, and we've been doing that for years or months or however long, and suddenly we are starting to suffer certain energy issues or health symptoms or anything like that, it's going to be difficult for us to step outside of that box and admit that actually maybe that diet is no longer serving us. Because maybe it did, and maybe it's not anymore. And often when we start these new diets, these new very prescriptive, very boxed labels of diets, then we're often starting to pay more attention to the food we're eating. So often those people who are just starting out in these sort of labeled prescribed diets, they are paying more attention to what they're eating, and they're getting more health benefits from that because they are tending to choose healthier options, whether that's veganism or carnivore diets. They are probably paying more attention to their health, and they are in terms of looking at their diet, what they're eating on a daily basis, how they cook it. They're getting more interested because it's quite new to them. They're excited by it. It's a passion of theirs. So in terms of health, they're getting off to a good start. Also, they are changing from perhaps the diets that they were eating beforehand, which were full of processed crap, stuff which came from pretty bad sources, whether that be inorganic vegetables or just lots of processed foods or meats from, factory farms or anything like this. Maybe they've been going out and takeaways. Maybe they got to a point that their health is so bad that they need to make a change. And so they've made a change and they've gone with what everybody is saying is the way forward, this diet, that diet, whatever they've chosen. And they've gone with it and they've had great results. And now they're singing it out to everyone. And it's the way to go. And I know because it's worked for me and this is how you should do it and blah, blah, blah. Well, be careful because you are readdressing the balance here. So you may have been like that. Now the new diet has started to bring you into balance. You're feeling really good, but now because of your dogmatic approach, I'm not sure how I feel about that label, but because of your strict adherence to this, you're going out of balance again, because maybe there's some food groups which you are missing out on. Food groups that you've pushed aside saying they're all unhealthy. They're really bad for you. One thing is meat, which I'll get onto in a minute. Meat is getting a very bad reputation for some good reason and some absolute falsehoods. So I want to talk about that. So you bring yourself into balance, however you do that. Carnivore, we're going for the extremes. So carnivore, veganism, okay? Let's go for those two extremes, because everything sort of falls within that. So bring ourselves to a balance, and then suddenly it's not working for us anymore. But shit, we've just told everybody that we are just a meat eater, mate. Don't know why I'm putting on a really bad Australian accent. Or a vegan, or, you know, these two extremes. And so then we're getting our energy, our health, our symptoms is getting worse and worse. So we either say, oh, I don't know, it must be this or that. I just need a bit of extra coffee. It must be, you know, and you don't want to show the world that actually you're going back on what you said, that you may have spoken a bit too soon. Now, if we're prepared to be honest and courageous, we'll say, well, actually, it worked to a point. It really did. And then I had to just bring that into more balance. So maybe then, if you're a vegan, you go up there and then you introduce, actually, there is something, and there is a something missing from my diet. So maybe you bring in a little bit of maybe an egg or some fish or just something, and see how you work off that. And then you tell people, yeah, well, I'm just learning. I'm learning what works for me in this moment. And then you're just teaching people how to learn. You're not teaching any dogmatic approach. You're just saying, I'm just learning. And this is what I've learned so far, to bring myself into balance, etc. Other people might get out of balance and they might start doing a number of things. They might just start denying what's going on. They might start using stimulants and additional things to mask symptoms. They might blame it on, a lack of pharmaceuticals in their body, that suddenly they need something to help them get over this slump, because it can't be this ever so healthy diet that they're on. So watch that, watch where you're stuck, watch where you're having to bring in these artificial stimulants, the sugars, the caffeinated beverages, even high amounts of exercise to get those endorphins back, whatever it might be. If you're not having that constant steady flow of energy, that feel good factor when you're doing the holistic approaches to life, with a little bit of exercise, with a little good sleep, with some good hydration. So we're getting those. But if you're still flagging, look at this dietary dogma. And I use that as a frame of mind, as a reference point, just to say, just look at it. Be brave, be bold. We all have to do that. We do. And we hate it, and I hate it. I hate being wrong, and I'm still wrong, of course. And I've been wrong in the past. I was preaching gluten-free, dairy-free to everybody almost 20 years ago now, when I had so much going on, because I was afraid for everybody else, because I had to do things that made me feel better and cut things out of my diet. And so I was preaching, because I'd seen one stage saw my dad die of cancer as well. So I was trying to save the world, and that's okay to a point, but just save yourself and do it in a good way, that you're leading through example rather than through preaching and dogmatic approaches to health. Show that you're a balanced person. Show that you're open to making mistakes or learning, and be open about that, because then people will pay attention, not if you're rigidly strong saying this is the only way, and yet you're looking a little bit beaten up and a little bit war wounded and a little bit off center, maybe a few other health issues going along with that. So yeah, they'll either just keep in that imbalanced state and won't acknowledge that there's anything wrong with this dietary approach, or potentially behind the scenes they might start to nibble on a few bits and pieces. They might, but they don't tell their friends or family. They might, just have a little bit of fish, or they might have some chocolate or some extra starchy chips or something like that, and they won't tell you necessarily. And there's a lot of people in social media who have been caught doing the same. I'm not saying all by any means. So let me sum this up, because it's been a long video and I like to talk, but I hope you're getting the message here, is go for it. Look, if you truly, want to try a carnivore diet, it might be your medicine. If you truly want to try a vegan diet, it might be your medicine. Right now, at this moment, whilst your physiology is at a certain state, but as you come back into balance through that more extreme way of eating, then be open to bringing it more into balance as you get more healthy. What I want to end with, because it really did catch my attention today, is one post which was all about meat, and it said, and it was a quote or something basically saying that anyone who eats meat and calls it healthy is a knobhead, basically, doesn't know what they're talking about. Now, I want to say to you that whatever your ethical beliefs are, and that is absolutely fine. I totally understand about ethics around animals, etc. But if we start projecting this type of thinking onto other people whose medicine and truly can be eating meat, then we are holding them back from true potential health and their health needs. Whatever you may think, we are physiologically so different. In my time as a personal trainer, I met people who had such extreme reactions to the extremities of different diets. They were so different that they made fundamental changes to their diets and they came into balance. That could be from not eating meat or eating meat. So before you make these assertions, even though you think they're well-meaning, please believe me when I say to you that one man's medicine is another man's poison. And if you're coming from an ethical standpoint, then the best thing to do is search out the best sources of food, no matter what type of food you are eating. Whether you're a vegan, then hunt out those farmers and those companies that do the right thing by the land and the animals on that land. And vice versa. If you're eating meat, then find great farmers who love their animals, and many of them do, and they treat them amazingly well, and who feed them well and enjoy their life. And ultimately, ones who also take a great deal of care around the slaughtering of the animals. And I know people don't want to hear that, but I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to speak truth. I'm here to help bring the world into balance. And if we bring ourselves into balance by eating balanced diets and constantly refine that balance within ourselves, the world is going to come into balance. It can come into balance from extremes, or it can come into balance through more subtle means in the middle there. But ethically, you do your best in an imperfect world and allow others to go about their dietary requirements as they see fit, because you never know what their requirements are, and you never know what challenges they are facing that means that they have to do those things which you are sometimes calling, atrocious. There's no need to plant any guilt or shame on people when they're trying to do the right thing, even if it is opposite to what you feel is right. So let's concentrate on ourselves and bring ourselves into balance. And one by one, if we do that, that's all we have to be responsible for. If we're not being responsible for ourselves and we're just pointing the finger outside, then you're fooling yourself. We all do it. I still do it. We all point the fingers at someone else, when the only person we should be pointing the finger at in a loving, caring, gentle way, kind way, is ourselves. And once we all start to teach others simply by the way we treat ourselves, then that's really teaching the world. Teaching by that is teaching other people to do that. Teaching that It's teaching other people to do that. And then what? We bring the world into balance one by one. One balanced being by one balanced being. So stick that dietary dogma up the proverbial, you know where, and focus on yourself and be honest with yourself. Don't give yourself a hard time. Don't give others a hard time. Just be balanced and be kind, and you're doing your best, and we all are. So on that note, that's it. And whether it's triggered you or not, I hope you've taken something from it. And I'll always welcome your comments and your questions. And I'd love to respond to those more directly and see what people are wanting to know about true health in the 21st century and bringing ourselves back into balance, one being at a time. Thanks.